We move now to the Democratic side of the aisle. Here in Arizona and nationwide, the party's candidates face some high hurdles in the fall elections. Record high inflation, soaring gas prices, and polls showing most Americans, Republicans and Democrats, agree that the country under President Joe Biden is going in the wrong direction. State Senator Raquel Terran's job is to overcome those obstacles as chair of the Arizona Democratic Party. Welcome back to Square Off.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Good to see you again. And you are in charge of recruiting candidates, raising money, and also registering voters. That's pretty much your job.
We are in charge of getting Democrats elected this November.
Okay, we're going to talk about that, but I want to start with getting Trump-endorsed candidates elected, because I think, as you know, around the country, some Democratic organizations are trying to lift up Trump-endorsed candidates in the primaries so that they are the candidates that the Democrat will face in the fall. Do you agree with that strategy?
Well, you know, I think that right now Republicans have already shown their cards. Having any Republican on the ballot is too extreme. And what we're seeing here in Arizona, Kari Lake, Karen Robeson, they are political opportunists. So we know that when voters see their ballot this November, they're going to know what is in front of them. So I am just clear that right now that we have good candidates on our side that represent the values of Arizonans.
So you don't agree with that strategy that we're seeing elsewhere?
I don't know if it's a strategy that who's leading that strategy. And so for us, our focus is to make sure that we elect Democrats.
So how do you specifically make the case in this environment that voters should check off a Democrat on the ballot?
You know, Democrats have delivered for voters. At the end of the day, we had the American Rescue Plan at a federal level. We have the bipartisan infrastructure bill, and we have shown that when Democrats are leading, for example, Mayor Romero down in Tucson, she took bold action when it came to abortion. We have seen Mayor Gallego take bold action when it comes to conserving our water, and Superintendent Hoffman, who took a lead when Republicans weren't doing anything for our children in schools. She took the American Rescue Plan and helped and used those dollars to help the students of Arizona. And so we have shown that when Democrats are leading, we will put our communities first.
And yet when people see 11% inflation, $5 a gallon gas, those are pretty big billboards that seem to go against Democrats, don't they?
Well, look, I think that we are we're getting through the unimaginable. We're getting through a pandemic. We are seeing a global crisis where we're seeing wars, and we're in very troubling times. But I know that Democrats being in the helm of leading, we won't leave our communities behind, and that's the key here. Because at the end of the day, we are proposing solutions. We're not proposing dividing our communities, and we are very mindful. Our communities are struggling, and we see it with the high cost of living. We see it when our schools are ranked number 50. We're seeing it with the droughts. So what we need in these moments when we are struggling is Democrats leading.
So you talk about Democrats leading and the importance of that to the communities. Here's what you said after the Democrats failed to win a legislative majority in 2020 here in Arizona. You had just taken over as the new chair. You said the consequences of losing the bottom of the ticket are life-altering. Losing means that our communities suffer. That's a direct quote. And yet here we are on the cusp of, elections for a new legislature next year. And the Democratic Party, under your leadership, has failed to field enough candidates to take over the legislature. Well, how did that happen?
I think that we have a strategy to win. Look at the numbers. We have a strategy to get to majorities both in the House and in the Senate.
In the House, there aren't enough candidates on the ballot to...
There are enough candidates, absolutely, and we're going to fight to win every single one of those seats. And it's going to be they're going to be competitive races. That's the reality. Here in Arizona, if you think about 12 years ago, The Democratic caucus in the state legislature was called the pizza caucus because you could feed a caucus with one pizza. But now we have 29 Democrats in the House, 14 Democrats in the Senate, and that has been because we've had a strategy to build a foundation. So we know that we have the single shot strategy, and some people disagree with that strategy, but we think that with that strategy we can do both: win majorities and also continue to build the foundation for this election and after.
So are you basically playing for 2024?
We're playing for
right
this
now?
year.
But how do you win a majority without the candidates in place to do that, in the House in particular?
Well, we have the candidates to get to majority, and even if we don't get to majority with those candidates, we still could tie. And a tie is a difference. And we are shooting to get also the governor, the Democratic governor, and that is a game changer for Arizonans.
There are some tensions within the party beyond the candidates. There's a new litmus test to win the endorsement of Planned Parenthood. Not only must a candidate support reproductive rights, but also must show their support for defunding the police. You're a Planned Parenthood endorsed candidate, saw that on your website. You support defunding the police.
Look, what I support is reimagining how we use the resources in our community. I'll tell you this. Legislative District 30, the district I represent, that's going to be the new Legislative District 26, is an amazing district. And the imagination of our communities is like, how are we using our resources? Like, look, this year at our state legislature, we saw bills that change how somebody is transported from a neighborhood to a place to address their mental illness, removing the peace officer from the equation. So I think that we have so many opportunities to reimagine how our resources are spent. And so I think I'm down for that conversation.
Does that mean defunding the police? Because there are some candidates who think the same way, the way you described, but didn't get an endorsement. So do you support defunding the police?
Are you asking? I'm not sure if you're asking about Planned Parenthood or the whole.
No,
I think the whole issue that we're seeing in front of us is the different ways that we can address public.
But specifically, the Planned Parenthood endorsement. It requires candidates to support defunding the police. So do you support defunding the police?
Planned Parenthood is their own organization. As a Democratic Party, as myself as a candidate, they are a trusted partner. They are an ally in making sure that Arizona is a battleground state. They are an organization that.
So is that a yes or no? Sorry to butt in.
I'm trying
to get an answer because this is significant. This is a litmus test they have for candidates.
I disagree that it's a litmus test. I think that what Planned Parenthood is doing is reshifting the conversation. Look, I went to El Salvador in 2019, and you know this story. I went to El Salvador in 2019 where there was an extreme ban on abortion. And I visited the jails of women who were incarcerated. So there is a tie. There is an intersectionality of what it is, police and abortion. So they are taking a position. They're taking that position because they know how the issues connect.
And you got the endorsement, so you agree with that position?
I agree with the position that we need to reimagine how we spend the public dollars and public safety, and we have to take this opportunity, this moment to think together and to better our communities.
All right. How long do you expect to remain in the job as chair?
I am going to see. I think this year, right now, we're focused on making sure that we get Democrats elected this November.
There's a lot of chatter among insiders. You're waiting to see whether Congressman Ruben Gallego challenges Kyrsten Sinema in 2024 before you, with an eye toward running for his seat if it opens up. Is that in the plans?
First priority is electing Democrats in November.
And lastly, Kyrsten Sinema, is she driving you nuts? Many Democrats don't think she's a Democrat. She certainly isn't a progressive. Is she driving you nuts right now with her votes and blocking the Biden agenda?
You know, it was very harsh for us to have to take a step in the direction of censuring Senator Sinema. However, the bipartisan infrastructure bill, the American Rescue Plan, needed Senator Sinema's vote. So I hope that we can come to the table and that she reevaluates putting every single option on the table so that we can move the Biden agenda forward.
Do you want to see her primaried in 2024?
Oh, I'm focused on electing Democrats this November. That's my job.
All right, Senator Raquel Terán, thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck in the fall.
Thank you.